Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I don't know what to say. Today we have two amazing guests who also happen to be the co-founders of Akoin. And we are really excited to speak to them today. And I think I'll just start by asking them to introduce themselves. Hi, Lynn. Hi, John.
Hello,
all right, ladies
hello.
first, Lynn. So you go for it, girl.
Ladies first. This is Lynn Liss, co-founder and COO of Akoin, and just very excited to be on your program today. Thank you.
And I'm John Karras. I'm the co-founder and president of Akoin, and we're excited to join you and talk about what we've got going on and how we're ready to accelerate our efforts in Kenya. Woo!
Let's do it.
All right, great. I mean, first of all, congratulations on the milestones that you've been able to achieve here in Kenya, obviously with the pilot. So maybe I can ask, how is Akon feeling? But even more importantly, how are you feeling about, those milestones?
The biggest thing I'd like to share is that we're super excited that quarantine and isolation is slowing, if not ending there. We've had multiple events that were scheduled to occur in Western Kenya and Kakamega County with Julius Mwale and President Kenyatta and Akon and other luminaries. And those have been rescheduled now about 6 times. The original locked-in date was April of last year. And at that point, we were going to do the ribbon cutting for not only the new wing of the hospital at Mwale Medical and Technology City, but also the ribbon cutting for a Akoin-driven education hub there in Mwale Medical and Technology City. We've got the space, we've got people ready to go in there and start working and all of that. And similarly, some of the acceleration of adoption in Western Kenya was slowed by quarantine and isolation, but those moments are ending, and we're now locking in a new date with President Kenyatta, and we're just so excited. Mr. Mwale has been leading the charge on that and is super passionate. So it's really, it slowed our rollout, but on the flip side, it gave us a chance to get the technological elves doing all kinds of magical things behind the curtain. And as Lynn has led that charge very, very capably, I'm not going to steal her thunder or allow that curtain pullback to be done by anyone other than my co-founder and beloved friend, Lynn Liss. So Lynn, talk a little bit about how that pilot's about to go into high gear, literally in the next several weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. When I think back, you mentioned milestones. It was such a major milestone for us to really develop a private wallet experience for Mwale. And in that experience, we were able to tackle both, how do merchants receive Akoin? How do we do payroll in Akoin? How do we do transfers? So working with that tight community really evolved what a private city experience looks like. And they are equally our partners in the new Akoin public wallet launch. So we have been, holidays didn't stop us, COVID didn't stop us. We have been quite deep in developing. What's first coming out is a mobile iOS and Android experience, especially in Africa. We know Android's so important. So the first feature coming out, you've heard a lot about the Akoin card. The first feature coming out is the ability to purchase Akoin, attach your Akoin to our partnership with banks, the Akoin card, and let you spend Akoin anywhere you can spend MasterCard. So this is massive. Little features, but still important. You'll be able to also obviously transfer to and from users and also do swaps into other cryptos. So that's really phase 1 of the wallet rollout. And Mwale Medical and Technology City is such an important part of helping us experience. So they're basically moving into test mode with us. Starting next week, might be the following, but I guess John mentioned the next couple of weeks. And I'll also mention, you'll hear a lot about this, but we took the very important step for the public wallet in partnering with Fireblocks. And this is what, in a way, we're blessed that the industry just keeps moving forward. So a year ago, Fireblocks didn't exist. Right now, you're able to really ensure the assets of the users are under heavy security. The keys are backed up. There's a wonderful level of insurance that's applied. We'll be doing a whole announcement related to this specifically. That integration has been really important. I think any crypto company that's going to go anywhere is pretty much backed up within Fireblocks. So that's really an exciting part because we want people's assets to be safe. And we want, most importantly, the user experience that you're going to see coming out publicly is just really user friendly. All that other stuff is done behind the scenes. Now it's about user.
So let's drill down on just how simple and usable the functionality is and how light touch the tech that a user needs to have. They don't need to have some supercharged iPhone 17 that isn't even out yet. This is built, the Android one can be done on much simpler devices. And then this will ultimately lead to a bunch of extensions onto computers and tablets and more later. But I think, Lynn, it's probably good to highlight a little bit about just how user-friendly and simple to use this is. It doesn't require all kinds of technological expertise. Anyone that's using M-Pesa, this will be second nature to them. They'll just sit there and go, look, it's faster, it's cheaper. This is awesome. And then the other big piece is, again, just having a MasterCard in the hands of our users allows them to transact anywhere and really achieve financial inclusion in a way that they've never been able to.
Yeah, just to expand. So iOS and Android coming out, and then phase 2 is the mobile optimized web version, because we know people also want to be on web for the expanded features. But I think a lot about our own experiences getting into exchanges is complicated. It's really hard for a lot of users. So the wallet is meant to be, much like Coinbase, a very simple, easy access point. You link your card, you link your wallet with the Akoin card, and off to the races you are. You want to swap. It's just a couple of steps within the wallet experience. So user streamlined, user easy, and user secure. So back to you, David, because John and I are so excited. You're one of our first interviews out of the gate this year. So we're thrilled to be sharing this new and exciting roadmap.
All right, great. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, John. I think so far what we've seen with what you guys are doing at Mwale is it's already operational. I mean, you've already done some transactions. I think the last time was about $5 million, and you anticipate to do more by the end of 2022. Maybe you can also break down a bit how you envision this growth.
Well, there are two big developments on the expansion of utilization and adoption that are really important. One is that we're about to start the earlier payroll rollout, and that will expand across all of their employees, not just at the hospital and within the city, but across their businesses, which include a very significant supermarket chain that's across the region, not just in Kenya, but in Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the other thing that we're super excited about just on the Julius side is they've taken over a large sugar processing plant that serves about 286,000 farmers, and they're going to have all the transactions there regarding the sugar processing be done in Akoin. So that will click into gear in mid to late summer. But the number of employees just with 5,000 will be receiving their payroll in Akoin. So those two pieces alone, along with a bunch of the other things that we have rolling out in your region in Central and East Africa, will be a lot of active use. Our biggest mission is to make sure that Akoin is in the hands of users, not people that are speculating on exchanges. We really want this to be a tool that empowers financial inclusion and education, access to all of the things that have been hard to receive in various parts of the planet, not the least of them being Kenya. So in terms of volume, it will be, the sugar processing plant alone several years ago, they've fallen off a bit because there was some not so good activities around it. But when it was functioning at moderate efficiency, they did about $200 million a year in sugar processing. The payroll, again, when you think about 5,000 employees, this ranges from, the entry-level workers all the way up to the senior doctors and head administrators of the hotel and the business owners within the city. So it's a lot of volume, it's a lot of users. And then there's some integration we're working on with some of the universities and churches, particularly in Western Kenya. And as you know, even better than we do, There's over 17 million people that live in Western Kenya, and there's been a lot of support and excitement about the tools and services that we're bringing in.
Yeah, and just one additional point, the Akoin card was really important, as John speaks about payroll processing and scaling that up into the full ramp. We needed to make sure users could spend their money anywhere online and anywhere that had the MasterCard logo, because yes, lacing a city with crypto is important. You can go to all your local merchants, but that piece was really key for us. So hence this next deployment is quintessential to the success of our deployment there.
The goal is making sure that our users can transact anywhere on the planet in the most functional, productive, and cost-efficient way possible. And so as people are receiving payroll, the goal isn't, you got to hold these Akoin. That's their life. They're going to use it for their housing, their food, their clothing, their education, their transportation, all of that. So we need it to be completely functional so that they're not in a situation where particularly the unbanked are doing things like overpaying for transactions that are more barter-like with prepaid cell minutes and or some of the expense of other choices. So our goal was to really, again, empower financial inclusion, give people tools that they well deserve.
I mean, let me ask. I know that using Akoin is way cheaper, obviously, than the existing means. How does Akoin generate revenue?
We call people like you and say, "Don't you want to help empower our mission?" Can you? Mm-hmm. No, I'm joking. The main way we have a number of different ways that revenue is generated. There are some moderate fees for different things, particularly transfers within the system when people buy in. But the bigger part is just having a circular economy that's used, and then we have a number and growing number of app and DApp partnerships that we are serving as a marketing partner and an access point to a customer base. So it's really about bringing that ecosystem into the hands of users that many different innovators and brands are trying to reach and can't. So we're often a marketing partner, and that's where our real revenues come from. Our goal is to make this be as close to frictionless, as close to free as we can for the users. So it's our partners that fund the growth of the business.
Yeah, I'll just add, because I think it's interesting if you think about our phase 2 is our DApp app marketplace combined with the mobile optimized web, right? Because a marketplace needs a bit more than a mobile experience. So we're putting that in a mobile optimized web environment. And as John describes, it's adding in both a curated amount of DApp and app partners, and those are a provided revenue stream. And then there's others that you can tap into in the sort of the DeFi space that are referral fees, and again, do become revenue outputs for that. But that is really what builds a robust ecosystem. And the ones that we're curating and adding in are quite exciting. And from our perspective, if you see on our website, Building Blocks of Entrepreneurship, we speak about it weekly. In every lane, it's about bringing in the best educational providers, financial service providers, healthcare providers. So you're going to see a basket of those in V2, which is really quite exciting.
I would also say there's some other pieces that are just financial tools. We will ultimately be launching a stable coin. There's some economics around that. We'll be doing a fair amount of staking and yield farms, and those will more than fuel the business's operations. But our goal is to make this, again, as close to frictionless / free for our users, as close as we can get. So those marketing app and DApp partners, the yield farms, things like a more efficient version of microlending, because there's a lot of stuff out there, but we think we can do it better and cheaper, which also, again, helps to fuel and fund the business's growth. There's a whole bunch of those things that are in our roadmap.
All right, great. Now, you mentioned quite a lot about education and, providing awareness, which is actually a big problem on the continent. Crypto adoption, crypto growth is still being hindered by education or a lack of awareness. And I think your latest release, you mentioned you have plans to fuel the development of the African crypto space. Maybe you can break down to us how you intend to go about that?
We've got a couple of bigger initiatives. We'll be launching some education hubs, which also will have some customer service attributes to them, starting with Western Kenya. But there will be a number of those up during the course of this year in Senegal, in North Africa, in South Africa, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire. There'll be a number of places where there are bigger groups of users, and part of our purpose of that is also within these centers to provide access to microtasks so that people can get experience. We've aligned with a company called Crypturns that will be building out some of these hubs, along with some educational certification tools and a pathway for people to find their way into internships, so that young people can, young and newer to the industry people, can get experience. And all of that pays it forward. Where people find opportunities, we think that they gravitate towards them. And again, with how young the population is, we're looking to help provide those tools and services so that people can learn and find their ways into the industry, and ways to integrate innovation into their work and their home life.
Yeah, and two other things I'll add. When we think about the learning side, it's everything John just went through in terms of direct learning and tasks for earning. Adding into that, and I'm going to give it to Mike Tinkle, our CMO, this concept of play to learn. So there's ways that each of these DApp partners that come in that we want people to be aware of. How do you do this finance tool? How do you use this educational tool? How do you use this healthcare tool? Giving them some really cool sort of step-by-step walkthroughs. They can earn some crypto along the way. But even that, I find for myself, it helps me to understand how these blockchain and crypto companies are working, how I might leverage them, how I might be on board with them. So we're doing a lot in that space. And also you'll see on our roadmap, the idea of do it yourself, build your own DApp on our ecosystem is really important. We're not there yet, but this concept of giving people really simple tools to pull in screens that help them to create their own DApp that may sell their services or their tools or their products. So, all of a sudden you're in the crypto ecosystem and you're earning along the way. So those are other onboarding techniques that we are focused on.
All right. Any timelines on that, when we can expect some of those features to roll out?
Well, you'll see some of it digitally in the next 60 days. And then the first physical space, which will happen in Mwale, is probably about, well, it depends on again, when there'll be good enough access back into Western Kenya, but probably 45 to 60 days as well from that event, ribbon cutting, and the center opening. So
yeah, and
like
the DIY is more towards end of the year. Again, we need the marketplace really up and robust, and then it's about letting people come in and build their own tools there.
All right, awesome. Now, just shifting a bit, I know also Akoin cities are a big part of this initiative. Would you mind telling us a bit what was the motivation behind the Akoin cities, and how they also play into your overall objective?
Sure. Akoin City, the vision of this ecosystem has been a long-standing vision of Akon's, helping to elevate the way people live and work and build communities across Africa. There have been two of them announced so far, obviously one in Senegal and Bodieng, and one in Uganda. Various progress on both fronts. Things not quite as fast as everyone would like because of all kinds of COVID impacts, between impact on just the economies of those countries and how they've been harmed by lockdowns, quarantines, health challenges, etc. But lots of forward movement, and others that will be announced. Obviously, a future way to live that involves a bit more frictionless society and all kinds of things, not just how one transacts economically, but everything from energy to housing to sports and entertainment to education to healthcare. It's all been very thoughtfully crafted, and if one goes to aconcity.com, and I heartily recommend that people do take a look at the video and some of the vision of it. The question that I often hear is, can you really build this thing? Wow, that's really great looking. Can you build it? And the short answer is yes, and there's been a lot of forward progress in both Senegal and Uganda. They're moving forward at a better clip now towards breaking ground in Senegal. So, but the last couple of years have been very challenging, again, between access to supply chain issues and workers and just some of the government departments. They've had their hands full with COVID-related challenges.
All right, thanks for those updates, John.
Sure.
I mean, I think as we wind up as well, I would also like you to maybe talk to us about how you envision Africa. And when you look at Africa, it's probably the youngest continent globally. There are so many entrepreneurs, there are so many young people trying to, make a living or just get into the crypto space. What would be your advice to these entrepreneurs and people trying to get into this space? I would love to get your comment, John, and also Lynn on that.
I'll just jump in quickly and then pass the baton off to Lynn. For me, Africa is the greatest opportunity on the planet because of the people, which is the greatest natural resource on the continent. Lots of people think about minerals or oil or other things. To me, it's the human potential of this really engaged and young population that are looking for pathways forward. My biggest advice to all of those entrepreneurs is it really comes down to education. The more knowledge, the more experience, the more thoughtfulness they put into building their pathways, whether they start businesses themselves or select pathways to work with others, the more that they can learn, the more they prepare themselves, the more success they'll have. There is so much opportunity in Africa that if one works hard and prepares themselves, there's no reason why they can't succeed. It reminds me of the United States in the era coming out of World War II in the 1940s, where there was a true sense of limitless possibility, that image of, well, the streets are paved with gold. In Africa, we have to pave more streets, but there is so much opportunity there for people that are willing to work hard and be thoughtful and innovative. It's virtually limitless, in our opinion.
Yeah, and something that I'll add, Akon from the very beginning, really spotlighted this leapfrog of moving, didn't even move into, in Africa, computers and desktops. It was all mobile. And when we really, at the launch of this venture, looked into M-Pesa and saw this profound realization that people there had already figured out how to put a true value to other asset types, in this case, the mobile minute concept. That's something that we're only now in the US getting a sense of, that you can have different assets valued. We just had the US dollar. Right now we're into crypto. When we started this venture, that was a real profound realization, the ease of use and managing your assets across different classes. And then in the Mwale City deployment, it was even further validated, the ease in which, things we thought would be sort of complicated to explain. Everyone there was just already very flexible in that new model of existence. Again, managing your assets across different classes and moving in and out to conduct your daily life and business activities. So I think, as John highlighted, Africa's leaps and bounds ahead and ready for this. And then in terms of, advice more generally, and this just goes for anyone entering the crypto space, I say this a lot at panels, because it's interesting to me when I speak also with my college at times, and people come up and they say, oh, they're a little daunted by it. How do they get into crypto? As John mentioned, number one, education out there is phenomenal, just online alone. I mean, you can learn, things within a week, but most importantly, don't under minimize the value of the trade that you already had. So I say, if you're an accountant and accounting skills, go in and learn every single thing about how crypto and blockchain is impacting accounting, and you are leaps and bounds ahead of other people. There are so few resources. The blockchain space is still quite small. So if you can just say, okay, how do I need to update my skills, but I still use the base skill set that I had, let's say, in the accounting category. And that goes across every line of business. So that opportunity is massive. Again, you can bring yourself up to speed and you can really just jump into that industry. It's still nascent enough that you'll have a very big advantage, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you for that, Lynn, John as well. Great advice. And now, for people who want to learn more about Akoin and what you guys are doing, where can they find you?
Akoin.io is all of our information, and related channels are on links within the website. And you'll be hearing very soon about the public wallet release. And there'll be lots of information and education around that and tools to help people get into the new world with us.
And I would just again highlight the access point to all things Akoin is indeed through the website www.akoin.io. That is the one true, real authorized way to get in. We've had numerous scammers all through the years trying to do all kinds of crazy things. So the legitimate pathway in, the links, the real information, please have people go to the website, www.akoin.io.
All right, great. When can I expect you guys in Kenya?
We are hoping to be there April, hopefully, or May. At this point, we're waiting for the timeline of when they can coordinate with President Kenyatta's office. The sooner the better. Can't wait to be there. Can't wait to meet you in person. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Can't wait to see you guys as well. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, David. So nice to see your face and to be a part of this, and looking forward to many more.
Thank you as well. Enjoy your day.
All righty. Thanks for having this nice drive with me on the streets of Los Angeles. I greatly appreciate it.
All right.
Have a great night.
It was an honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, David, for organising the interview, and thank you guys for coming. I think it went great.